It is yet another Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to The Wrestling Show. My name is Upbind, joined here by the Saved One once again. How you doing, bud? How's been your week?
It's been a good week. It's been a hectic week. It's been a lot of wrestling news. We have to pick and choose what we talk about here on this show. That's been the most
Yeah, that's a constant.
problematic thing that's going on. One day something big happens, the next day it doesn't even matter anymore. So
Yeah.
man, we got a packed show. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah. No, what'd you do this week? How was your week, man?
It was good. A lot of work. A lot of taking care of newborn baby.
Aww.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. It kind of feels like the days that I have my actual work are my vacation days, and then Saturday is okay, daddy duties.
Yep. Time to lock in.
Yeah, time to lock in. It's not time for relaxing. So
Yeah.
I was telling my wife, I'm like, you can go take my job if you want for a day and go on a vacation essentially, and I'll take care of him. It's crazy, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's been good. How about you?
Yeah, no, all's good. This week, just trying to keep busy. I mean, I'm here at home right now. Actually, I'm not in sunny Philadelphia, or at least that's what the show says. But I'm in Boston, Massachusetts right now. I'm a little bit early, as you know, a little bit later next month. We're gonna have big business here in town. But yeah, visiting the family, just trying to say hi. Yeah, it's actually a school vacation for my brother, so why not, right?
Oh, are you staying there until big business?
No, I'm gone tomorrow already. No, it was literally just to say hi. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Yeah, close enough. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's hit a little bit closer to home. Let's actually talk about some good old wrestling with an E. We have ourselves, of course, our Elimination Chamber review. We had a big PLE yesterday, our first PLE of the wrestling show. And as we head into our good old WWE talk, we could start to talk about our first match. Becky Lynch comes out on top in the Elimination Chamber, in the Women's Elimination Chamber. But there is a lot to be said about who came out looking good in this match, who kind of, looked a little bit different, or at least the expectations were a little lower and they came out a lot higher. Dan, some overall thoughts?
Yeah, I think that the Women's Chamber, first off, was just so much fun. It was a really, really good match. The one kind of member that I didn't think that would get as hot as she was Tiffany Stratton. She just exploded in Australia. I don't know what happened in Perth that day, but they were ready for Tiffy time.
Exactly. No idea what was going on, what was in the water down under, but everybody was on board for Tiffany Stratton, and honestly, you couldn't feel better, for someone like Tiff. We were at kind of a loss for underdogs in this pay-per-view. A lot of the opponents, or a lot of the matches in this event, was pretty predictable. So with this match already, you already have someone like Tiffany Stratton getting pushed. It almost, I felt by the very end of the match that they would almost pivot and make Tiffany Stratton the winner.
I tweeted and I said, I think WWE might pivot.
Yeah.
Give Tiffany a little bit more of a spotlight. But what was very interesting is that she got knocked out second, right? And Naomi was first.
Yep.
Tiffany got knocked out second. A lot of the crowd got deflated at that point. I wouldn't have minded to see her eliminate Bianca third, because no, it was Bianca versus it was Liv versus Becky in the final two.
Yeah, it was Liv, Becky, Bianca. It was a
right
back-to-back.
I wouldn't have minded to see her and Raquel change places in that case. Give Tiffany a little bit more time in the chamber. But I think at that point, when Tiffany did get eliminated, the match was basically already over at that point, because then Raquel got eliminated just minutes after that. Bianca was gone soon after.
Yeah.
And then in the final two, a lot of people wanted Liv. I was seeing on Twitter that a lot of people really wanted Liv.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Liv versus Rhea is not a WrestleMania match, at least this year.
Not now.
Not now. Maybe next year for sure. And they could even tell a bigger story because, they were a tag team at one point. But, to tell a story so close to WrestleMania like that, we've been seeing teases of Becky going face-to-face with Rhea. It was so incredibly obvious going into this chamber that Becky was just going to win. And, if Triple H wanted to do his 180 booking, sure. But not the best.
Yeah, no, that's sort of the pattern, for WrestleMania season. Whatever happens outside, coming out of the Royal Rumble, what happens that first week after the Royal Rumble is basically what we got for WrestleMania, and it's what we have now. The women's division is still heavy, to say the least, but you already see, all of the seeds being planted for WrestleMania throughout the last few weeks. Sami Zayn, who didn't really have a case at all during the Elimination Chamber, to me is going to be a part of one of the championship matches going into WrestleMania. So, of course, it's simply because of the fact that he has a lot of screen time. But coming out of this Elimination Chamber specifically, I thought everyone was going to have an opportunity to look good, mainly because I didn't think Bianca would last that long. I thought everyone would, if y'all did actually watch the short, I predicted that Bianca was, she was going to come out John Cena style, and everyone was just going to hit their finishers on her. Everyone in this match does have a very solid finisher, and everyone in this match kind of needs to get themselves over a little bit. So I kind of saw that hierarchy kind of taking place a little bit, but at the very end of things, it's not exactly the unpredictable finish, but Becky Lynch, did she impress in this match?
Nothing really stood out to me as like that big Becky Lynch moment. It was almost kind of like Becky proving herself has been this past year. She got out of WrestleMania. She got turned on by Trish. She had a 6-month-long feud with Trish Stratus. Way too long. Except for their final match. Their final match was great in the steel cage.
Yeah.
But
you could see what they were trying to do, though. Have Zoe Stark in a better position coming out of it. Becky Lynch at least trying to climb her way back up to the main card. So at least it was something. But 6 months?
6 months is way too long. It was literally all the way from WrestleMania up until September at Payback. It was way too long. And then she got put down into NXT. They basically you clearly saw that WWE were trying to just waste time.
Yes, filler
with Becky Lynch. And then once Mania season started, boom, she's going right after Rhea.
Yep.
Right when they had that face-to-face promo on Raw way back in January, you kind of knew where that match was going, being that main event of WrestleMania, maybe. But yeah, I think the only thing else I want to touch on here with this women's match, Tiffany Stratton, I was mentioning her earlier on, but very clearly she's being set up as Miss Money in the Bank.
Oh my goodness. Money in the Bank is how far away now? We're still looking at what? 4 months?
Months, yeah.
But I think you're right. I think the path is just clear. Tiffany Stratton is the people's champion right now. And sure, last year they didn't give it to the people's champ. LA Knight might still have another chance to get that Money in the Bank going in this year. But in the women's division, there is just one person head and shoulders above everyone else in terms of that support that isn't on that upper echelon, and it's absolutely Tiffany Stratton. If there's anyone that should deserve a mid-card spotlight right now, it's going to be Tiffany Stratton at Money in the Bank.
Right. Yeah, she's going to have the pink briefcase. She has that attitude. She'll just come out. It's Tiffy time.
Absolutely.
And she'll just be like, everyone be quiet. I'm talking.
Yep.
I think that's the.
And when she cashes in too, woohoo!
Oh, it's gonna be a huge pop. I'm really, really excited for that.
Yeah, no, it'll remind me a lot of Carmella, and she also planted the seeds a little bit this weekend, or at least like in my mind about Carmella, she went for the double pin, real quick double pin attempt, and I'm like that sort of clicks something in me. Although we're seeing some of the same aspects from some of these women's wrestlers, right? Or at least like, of course, it's always about like it's about the look, it's about looking more powerful. But at the end of the day, every single person in this women's division right now looks special, looks like an individual, doesn't have a lot of aspects that they can compare to another wrestler on the roster. Right now, this women's division is one of the most individual that I've ever seen any roster be. Everyone in this last match to me, had a specific look, had a specific feel. And even when you compare it to people, like I was saying before, with Tiffany Stratton and someone like Carmella, Tiffany Stratton still has that little bit of an edge, still has that I guess you could say, cleaner look than someone like Carmella, even though they have the same exact mannerisms. It's going to make for a decent rivalry, even though they're both heels. You know, it's no longer a thing of, you know, is this person a pure babyface or not? Everyone's standing on their own, and that's, you know, personally incredible. I don't know why Becky Lynch, who is someone who I feel like out of this match had the least sort of like oomph to their look. Like, the man isn't fitting with this look to me in terms of Becky Lynch. She has a good color scheme, but the fit, it's not there yet. But everyone else, though, everyone is proving themselves in this women's division right now. And Dan, I'm gonna be honest here, bud. There should be an intercontinental title in the women's division. Am I wrong?
Yes. No, you're absolutely not.
Come on.
It's picked up a lot of traction over on X as of recent, that the women need a lot more opportunities than they're currently being given. You have the 2 main championships, fine. But the men right now, they have 2 mid-card titles. The women need at least 1 in order to build up some mid-card talent. We saw on SmackDown a couple of months ago that it was Io Sky versus Michin. Michin had a great showing there in that match, but she didn't mean anything to us at the time.
Not at all.
Even though she's a great mid-carder, she doesn't have a mid-card belt. She wasn't built up past that point. So we need to just see the women's division elevated, and I think now is the perfect time because of the chamber match, because of the main event of the PLE with Rhea. The women need an intercontinental title. Yeah, no,
we have a lot of potential on both shows right now between Raw, SmackDown. Of course, a lot of talent from NXT coming in right now. So if there's ever a time to pull that trigger, it's right gosh dang now. I mean, at this point, what, the tag team titles are being treated like that mid-card belt, and at that point you're throwing together tag teams just for the sake of throwing them together and maybe putting a spotlight on them. Yeah, it feels rough.
Yeah, it's not good, but I think
overall thoughts. I just wanted to
thoughts.
Yeah, on Becky Lynch going through. Yeah,
Becky Lynch was the right winner. I think that we can all say that. I think that we all wanted her to show a little bit more there in the chamber, but as a women's elimination chamber, it's probably one of the best in history. Yeah, no,
top to bottom. I mean, I will say at the very beginning, I feel like I keep hitting on Becky Lynch, but she kind of looked awkward. She did wrestle a little awkward. I can't tell if that's maybe her chemistry with the first entrant. But the first 5 minutes did not look that good. But once everyone else came into the match, it was barn burner and a half. I just don't know if that's maybe part of the circumstance that happened there, but a lot of simple spots from Becky Lynch at the very beginning of the match and throughout the match just didn't look right. So, just looking for something a little bit extra in the next month and a half to kind of prove herself as that actual threat to Rhea Ripley for me.
For sure. Yeah, I completely agree with you. We need to see a little bit more build. But moving on to the second match here of the show, we had the tag team title match, the Judgment Day versus the New Catch Republic. Yeah, the Judgment Day, they retained. But what did you think of this new tag team? They showed up.
Oh, baby. I was sure. These guys, you knew that individually they were going to have something to offer here, but dude, these are the big, strong boys that we needed. It's a great mid-card tag team to have. It's on the same level as a DIY, and DIY is in this roster. We're going to have NXT TakeOver type matches coming very soon to PLEs. I was thinking about this in the moment. Imagine this Australia crowd having the same pop cycle or the same pattern of pops like an NXT TakeOver. It would be absolutely electric. So if we are somehow able to replicate that style of match in a main roster match, it would be Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne facing up against a team like DIY. And also there's plenty of other tag teams that also have a little bit of that style, but these two are as clean as it gets right now. No mistakes that I saw clearly throughout this match. It was good, technical, hard-hitting wrestling.
And you saw there at the end of the match that Finn Balor, he broke his thumb. So it's a little corny from Pete Dunne that he does the joint manipulation, but sometimes when he overstretches that thumb, it came out of the socket. So yeah, crazy from Pete Dunne.
Yeah, which is, again, I didn't even know if it was actually broken, but is it actually broken? He wasn't just selling it.
No. The thumb was purple.
Oh.
The thumb looked way out of place, like a lot more stretched than normal.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually the first time that I've seen that joint manipulation actually do that. Actually, snap someone's
snap
like he
it.
usually like fakes it,
Yeah.
but like, was it the last snap that he did? That one did look pretty real.
It was that one. I think
Okay.
maybe there was a spot where he just landed badly on his hand, but yeah, like the final shot was him kneeling down in front of the camera. The thumb was completely out of place. Ugh. Even the commentators were like, I think this thumb is broken.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. Still, probably one of the best matches on the card, for sure.
Yeah, it's solid number 1 or number 2. The first half of this PLE, heads and shoulders above the rest.
It's true. Yeah, no, this was so much fun. And you kind of touched on it earlier. But do you think that with the amount of tag teams that we have right now, that they need to split the belts? It looks so silly having a SmackDown and a Raw, tag team title
Right.
belt on both of these members. They need to split these belts. There's so much talent on both shows that need this much of an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, we did actually kind of see it with the tournament heading into this match. So, I mean, it won't exactly be a surprise if we end up getting that separation. We still have the LWO. We still have guys like Pretty Deadly. We still have Imperium. The Creed brothers just came up. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, to be honest, they should be split again. There are enough tag teams now in this division, or at least you could put up like 10 tag teams, and with 5 in each division, that's more than enough for you to get a year's worth of wrestling out of them. So, yeah. I mean, to be honest, we should be looking at the separation once again, potentially after WrestleMania, potentially at WrestleMania, but there's a lot of tag team talent, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. But now moving on to the Grayson Waller effect, it was the one thing in this show that really broke up the show. There was 2 banger matches, and then everybody on Twitter was not happy. For some reason, they're like, this PLE is going too long.
Yeah.
The Grayson Waller effect is just weirdly placed here in the show. What did you think of it? Like, what did you think of it just being placed here, to kind of split up the show?
Yeah, no, I mean, they needed something. I was hoping that we get some promo spots, that we would get, maybe another video package out or a video package showing a wrestler, vignette of a wrestler. But that's standard, right? Every PLE, I hope for something special. But when it comes to the simple idea of having the Grayson Waller effect, fine. Having Seth Rollins and Cody there, though, could we not have done this in like 2 sentences the week before? Could Cody Rhodes have just not, or couldn't Seth Rollins just say to him, to his face, that previous Monday, and just be like, hey man, whatever you got going on, I got you. Yeah, it didn't need to be this massive part of the Grayson Waller effect. I mean, sure, you have the 2 champions, right? And you want to spotlight the 2 champions, but at the end of the day, Seth Rollins didn't look like a champion. He looked like a lackey to Cody Rhodes.
It's very, very true. Going over just some of the spots here on the actual show, Cody called out The Rock. That was a big one. A lot of people were thinking, is this happening at WrestleMania? And it's not happening at WrestleMania. It'll probably happen towards SummerSlam because The Rock is currently scheduled for 3 different appearances, at least matches this year. WrestleMania 40, he's going to have a match. We still don't know what that one is. He's going to have a match at SummerSlam, and he's going to have a match at WrestleMania 41. So we need a spot for that SummerSlam. I think that Cody versus The Rock can happen at that show.
Yeah, but also, I mean, God knows what could happen with the Cody Rock storyline. The one thing that I don't want, period, but just from the beginning of this whole storyline, is that The Rock physically does not affect Cody Rhodes going into the match against Roman Reigns. I want Cody to be 100% on, like, in storyline. I want Roman Reigns to be 100% in storyline going into that match, because I just, like, if we're going to finish the story, there shouldn't be any gaps there. There shouldn't be any questions as to Cody won because, The Rock betrayed Roman, or the Roman won because the day before Cody Rhodes and The Rock had a match. So that's the one thing where I'm just like, I'm still scared of this Rock involvement in WrestleMania. Is this going to kind of just lead us to another year of Cody versus Roman?
I think that's what we currently see as the short term. You know, like a lot of these questions are very short term minded.
Yeah.
But WWE usually, gives us the bigger picture eventually, and you go, oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be as simple as, Cody loses. Okay, we got another year. I think that we could see. I think Cody's losing at WrestleMania, and it's going to be due to The Rock in some sort of a way, or even due to Seth, and that's where his story pivots. And Cody says, all right, now I'm going to go for this heavyweight championship.
Yeah, but then Seth just looks like Solo Sikoa. Then he just looks like an even bigger lackey, just like trying to shove himself into the spotlight just for the fact that he's trying to get something done. You know what I mean?
It's true. No, it's going to be weird. It's very weird how they want to play that out. The rest of the segment was Seth. He wants to join in on that 1v1. It was a little weird because he's like, we both know that when you're dealing with the bloodline, you're not just dealing with Roman. So I want to join you. And they did that hand meme of the two sides joining sides. But another big tease here on the Grayson Waller effect. Grayson versus Theory being teased here. WrestleMania, give me it. That's what I was saying earlier.
I'm down with
last week. I was saying this last week, is that I really want Grayson to turn on Theory, and I want Theory to turn babyface. We need this babyface turn, because it was very weird that during the Grayson Waller effect, he was actually, making people laugh. He was making people smile. Theory was, and
surprisingly,
he connects with the crowd when he does his babyface, personality. So I think that we need that from Theory.
Austin Theory on the way. Where did you go? Where did you go? I need you back. Please come back. Please. The way. Please come back for me.
That was so funny.
Do it for me. I need it. All right. Listen, Candice LeRae actually teased it. She wants the way. She wants the way back. And my edge on Austin Theory is that this guy, he looked like a genuine entertainer. He looked like a relatable person. He looked as if he was, again, kind of a man of the people. Not an asshole. Like, he just, like, very simply put, I don't think Austin Theory actually believes in his character. And it's just, there's just nothing genuine about a guy going, me. Like seriously, like you looked in the mirror for like 5-10 minutes. No, you probably paced around your bathroom for like an hour, and that was the best you came up with. Me. So listen, at the end of the day, you're absolutely goddamn right. Austin Theory needs to be a babyface. He needs to be that good guy again. And this is the way for it to happen. Grayson Waller versus Austin Theory. If it happens at Mania, it's spicy.
Yeah, I think that the Mania card needs a lot more meat to it. Like right now, we have the 4 title matches, but we don't have a lot of filler. We don't have a lot of mid card in there. So Theory versus Grayson. Tell that story over the next 5 weeks.
Yep.
And then we'll see that at Mania, hopefully. Last thing here on the Grayson Waller effect is that Cody, he was actually about to explain why he gave up his spot to The Rock and then took it back. A lot of the community was like, hey, are we ever going to get, an explanation of what Cody just did? Not at WrestleMania. That was the big line. Are WWE just going to bury that? In the old administration, they would have. But in this administration, no, you need answers for these things, and we're going to get it at some point.
Yeah. No, I'm just glad that we're going full circle. No gaps left. Again, we were just saying last week that things are being decided from match to match, from promo to promo. This is the way to go, WWE. Yep. This is, again, like you said, the old management will not be doing this. Step forward in the right direction.
Yeah, it's really good. But that's enough for the Grayson Waller effect. Let's move on to the men's. What?
Saying this, by the way, we sounded pretty positive about the Grayson Waller effect. You want to give like a rating out of 10 overall for that segment, because I don't think we were on board with it that much.
Out of 10, I feel like 7's like a good
7.
Round. 7's a good. Like a lot of people were saying that, like you said, it could have been 2 sentences on a SmackDown or a Raw. I kind of disagree with that, because it broke up the show really nicely, but then also the stuff that we actually got during the segment sets up WrestleMania. We got Grayson versus Theory.
Correct.
Even if that's not happening at WrestleMania, it could happen at a SummerSlam. So it sets up the future really well. But then you had, a lot of the gaps being filled as well. So yeah, 7.3, 7.5 out of 10 for that segment. It was good enough to be put on the show. And, Australia, they get their Cody adrenaline in their soul, and then they get their Seth woes.
Okay.
And,
All
Australia's
right.
happy.
I'll take that. But as we move on to our next match, we start looking at the bigger picture of the PLE, and a lot of people on X were talking about it. Come on, man. Do we really have to wait 50 minutes? Like, this is a company from Stamford, Connecticut, y'all. It was what, 6 a.m., 5 a.m. We were. No, it was like 6:30, almost 7 a.m. We were getting into kind of the third match, and we still had to wait 50 minutes in between the second match and the third match for wrestling.
Yeah, it was too long. That was kind of the biggest complaint. It's not even that it was early in the morning, because I was there. I had my Red Bull. I was awake. I had 4 hours of sleep at that point, and
That makes one of us.
And I was like, you know what? Let's actually watch this from a perspective of a European audience.
Oh, wow.
Where they stay up until 3 a.m. to watch Raw. They stay up until 3 to 6 a.m. to watch a useless episode of Raw.
I think later, actually.
Yeah.
Just about that. 2 or 3, yeah.
It starts at 3, ends at 6. So
jeez.
If they're watching useless Raws and staying up and live tweeting during that, I can get up at 6 a.m. What time did it start? 5 a.m.?
Fair.
I can get up at that time and try and watch this. I had my Red Bull with me, and yeah, there was a lot of me sitting in this chair like, when's the next match gonna start? When's the next match gonna start? How long has it been? That's kind of weird. So it wasn't even that it was just so early in the morning. It was just that it was so long in between the promo and the men's chamber. It was a lot.
Yeah. Listen, I almost tapped out, but I at least made it to the men's elimination chamber match. I had someone over, I did the thing. The one thing I didn't do though was actually take a nap. I feel like Europeans probably have actually I would love to hear if anyone whatsoever is watching and actually is a European, has stayed up that late just for a random Raw or SmackDown. Tell me your routine, because do you take a nap? Do you actually take that energy drink? But what happens when the PLE is over? Do you charge through your day again? Do you nap again? Listen, I did it all wrong. I stayed up. I didn't know energy drinks. I still had to drive and pick up a friend. Yeah, no, it was a whole mess. But we make it to the men's elimination chamber match, right? And hey, by the very end of this, again, it is sort of the winner that we wanted to see coming out of this. But I think everyone in this match looked impressive in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, we got, like you said, we got the right winner. We got Drew versus Seth happening at WrestleMania. Everyone knew this match was going to be happening. The one big thing that everyone said about this card that sucked was the predictability of it, and I do agree that every single winner of the matches, like every prediction at least going into it, is exactly what happened. So, like you said, every member of this chamber match looked good. KO looked amazing. It was just so clear that he was in the chamber because he wants to further his feud with Logan. He hates Logan. He's banging his head on the glass, Goldberg style. Logan, he's drawing pictures of KO on the side of the chamber pod.
Yeah, making content.
Making content. That's all you can do. He's got that type of mind on him.
Yeah. What
was so interesting and what I wanted to see is what matches are going to be set up for WrestleMania through this match.
And we got that.
We got that. We got the first big one was AJ Styles interfering in the match and costing LA Knight the victory. Will it be Knight versus Styles at WrestleMania 40? It seems like a fun mid-card match, but I feel like there's something more to it.
Yeah, what are the stakes there? I mean,
Right.
we're going to talk about the Wrestling Observer awards a little bit later on, and unfortunately, the match that ended up winning kind of a worst match of the year was an LA Knight singles match, and that sort of begs the question, is this a good enough feud to kind of take into WrestleMania? It will be a decent enough match. Of course, it is AJ Styles, but what are we even going to get out of these two? Where's the hate? Where's the reason? I'm sure we're going to get those answers within the next few weeks. But immediately speaking, other than the fact that it was like it was a violent beatdown, I didn't see the snap there, you know?
Yeah, I agree. It was very weird that AJ Styles interfered in that match. I know there's been a little bit of tension between the two, but
will they make it make sense? They will, but it felt weird.
It did feel weird, and that's why I think a lot of people believe that there will be a multi-man ladder match for the U.S. title. There was a lot of setup with Randy, with Logan, KO.
Okay.
Knight and Styles got into that as well. So do you think that there could be a multi-man U.S. ladder match at WrestleMania?
Maybe not specifically a ladder match, but a multi-man match, period. God, that's what WrestleMania is made for. I want that midday glow. I want that sort of, what's that word called? I want that golden hour shining over LA Knight winning that US title. Yeah. Honestly, that is a perfect match to put in that WrestleMania card. It spotlights multiple of your talent. Everyone has a reason to be within that match. Like, for what is a history of multi-man matches in WrestleMania, this will be the one that makes the absolute most sense. And from a minutia perspective, where like you see like, oh, you talk about like this wrestler versus this wrestler and this wrestler versus this wrestler. No matter what combination you look at for that multi-man match, there is some sort of storyline explanation as to why they're in that match or why they hate each other. And that's all you need for something like WrestleMania that serves the moment.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that, at least going into WrestleMania, Logan versus LA Knight. Give us this match. Give us Knight winning that U.S. title. Triple H said last year, just wait on LA Knight. I'll deliver at some point. Him versus Styles does not seem like he's delivering on that promise. Knight, he doesn't have that much time left. Let's get a belt on him and let's skyrocket him in the mid-card. Let's get that U.S. title to actually mean something. And I think that LA Knight can do it.
And why put down AJ Styles in that process? I don't see AJ Styles winning that match. I just don't. LA Knight should be the one getting pushed from that match. And AJ Styles is in a position in his career where he deserves to be an intimidating character, even more intimidating than what he is now. Him taking loss in this new version is just, that's not it.
Yeah, if they are going to do this singles match at WrestleMania, Knight versus Styles, I think I would want it to be a multi-PLE match.
Oh.
Like we get the first match at WrestleMania.
Backlash.
We get the second match at Backlash.
Yeah.
And then whatever PLE's after, I think it's Money in the Bank. But then also on the same front, I want LA Knight to be in the Money in the Bank match. So there's a lot of weird little twists and turns that WWE can do here, but Knight versus Styles might be a little bit of a mess.
Yeah, and we saw it last year too. Logan Paul had the U.S. title and was still a part of the Money in the Bank match. So, literally, this match that could happen at WrestleMania could be replicated going into the summer again. This is a consistent theme here. The WWE mid card is looking real goddamn good right now, and there are so many people within that lineup that could crack that upper echelon at any point within the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, there's a lot of mid-card talent that could use something like a Money in the Bank to elevate their whole persona, and I think that's what the new administration wants to do with the Money in the Bank, is they want to take this kind of mid to high card player and just give them that little bit of an extra boost. This year, I have no idea who it could be. I think actually a lot of people were saying Sammy, but yeah, it could go so many different ways this year.
Yeah. But I mean, now that you mentioned Sammy, we'll talk about this at some other point. We'll talk about this next week because there should be a story development this week on this. Yeah, but Sami Zayn, he should be involved in that Drew match.
Kind of. I think that a lot of people were saying yes, but also people were saying no because
there's valid reasons as to why not, but I see it.
Gunther versus Sammy would be fun. True. Gunther versus Sammy would be a lot of fun at WrestleMania. Sammy was saying that he needs a belt. He needs a belt, and
take it off of Gunther though.
Yeah, but
would Gunther have lost to Brock Lesnar?
yes. So this was a big thing that me and you were talking about, is that on the reports going earlier in the year, it was going to be Gunther versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. But then people popped the question. It's going to be a little weird because Gunther's going to be having the IC belt, right? No. So what was supposed to happen on Raw is that Jay was supposed to win that match, and then it would have been Jay versus Jimmy for the IC belt at WrestleMania, which seems a little weird, but for some reason that was WWE's original plan.
That match alone is good, but with the title, Jay especially, if he wins a title coming out of WrestleMania, he looks like main event Jay, so it makes sense.
But then imagine Jimmy beating Jay at WrestleMania for the
Hell
IC
no.
belt.
Hell no. Hell no.
So
there is
funny.
there is no planet where in Jimmy versus Jay, Jimmy wins. That please, right? Please. Right? Right?
I don't know. Imagine the comedy though, goofball Jimmy Uso winning the IC belt is the biggest fall from grace for that title.
Overnight, and it's going to the bloodline. It's still going to Jimmy Uso. The guy's still a great wrestler, but
no yeet,
no goddamn yeet, man.
No yeet, dude. No, it wouldn't have happened. But yeah. I think Sammy versus Gunther would be a lot of fun at WrestleMania to tell that underdog story, beating someone like a Goliath in Gunther.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, sure would. But we have to move on to the big one.
Yeah.
Uno más. But I'm not giving this one a lot of build up for a reason. It was Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. It was predictable at the end of the day.
That's crazy. What?
It was predictable.
No, I agree that it was predictable, but Rhea Ripley's aura coming out in an Australia crowd?
Great. However, Zelina Vega had the same thing.
That's true.
I'm sorry, dude. It's too much of a Homer thing. It's too expected for me to be like, oh, I can't believe this happened. We could talk about Tiffany Stratton earlier and make a big deal out of it because we didn't expect it at all. Rhea bloody Ripley, mate. Come on. Australia was going to go nuts for her. Again, everything that we expected, like you were saying earlier, the night was predictable. Everything that we expected for this match happened. Crowd was hype. Rhea Ripley got her spots in. Nia Jax, though, she actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think this was probably the best Nia Jax match that she's had. And the one thing that I noted is that Nia Jax looked so off in this match. I don't know what it was, but she... maybe coming down the ramp, she was a little nervous, but it's kind of what happens when the women don't get as big of a spotlight, and then all of a sudden on a PLE, no, you're main eventing. And then Nia Jax is all of a sudden main eventing
Deer in
a
headlights.
PLE in Perth. She's walking down the ramp like, what the hell did I just get myself into?
Yep.
Yes, the match was great. It was everything that you needed out of a big versus big match. It was fun. Rhea Ripley had that aura. There was the two main spots that Rhea Ripley had, her riptide as well as the superplex on the top rope. Nia Jax, I don't know how the hell she took a superplex, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun of a match. I had fun at least. And the one thing that I noted from this is that Rhea Ripley clearly is the best women's wrestler on the planet.
Ooh, very clearly.
Yes.
I mean, she's looking great right now. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think we've seen a true technical spotlight in WWE, that type of match. But when you put in wrestler as a title, not in-ring performer, not promo work, not, just individual factors, professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, Rhea Ripley is on top right now. She is head and shoulders above everyone in terms of her presentation, her aura, her in-ring performance, just a combination of everything, the average of all of those parts. Rhea Ripley, again, she just proved it again this week that she is on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to have to agree there. Anything else? I think you kind of touched on your opinion of this match. PLE as a whole,
Yeah.
what did you kind of think of it? Elimination Chamber 2024 in the books.
Yeah.
What would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I think I just have to give this one a solid 7.5. You know, there's much worse PLEs out there. There's much better PLEs out there. But at the very beginning of the show, I was super ready to give this show more than an 8. But you know, of course, it was just way too much time in between matches. It's just for the fact that, again, for a US based product, the US schedule is just that terrible. You were almost begging for people to kind of tune out the last 2 matches almost, or I don't know. I don't really know. But overall, still had a great time watching everything. The men's match was still entertaining. Rhea Ripley, no matter how predictable it was, still entertaining. So yeah, no, put this PLE up there as already like a top 5 for WWE coming out of the year, right. But it's, you know, it's not too memorable.
Yeah, I rated it an 8.2.
Okay.
I believe in point scores.
Okay, fair.
So yeah, like I thought it did pass that 8 point because of the crowd. If you only take just the matches, every single match was fun. And then you had those nitpicky spots. It was too much time in between matches. It was not enough, you know, promo in between there. So, yeah, it knocked the score down. But I think that as a whole, I was happy to get up for this PLE.
Yeah. Actually, I could see that. You know, would I go through that process again? I would.
Give me a year. Give me a year.
Give me a year, though. I'm not doing that again immediately anytime soon, but for sure, good time. Give me a pay-per-view in Japan.
Why not?
Come on. What are we doing?
Why not? Maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year. But we move, we ball. What's on what's next on the docket, Dan?
So we've got AEW talk here.
Yup.
We only have one story coming out of this week, but it has a lot of sub-stories. Tony Khan realized the backlash that he's been getting all week. So just to give you guys a little bit of a header as to what happened, O'Shea Jackson, of all people, went on Chris Van Vliet and said, you know, if I don't know somebody, I don't want to go onto Twitter, ask who somebody is, and then have everybody bash me for it. You don't know who that is? How could you not know? It's the TV show's job to tell you who these people are. Tony Khan then responded to that tweet and said, you know, O'Shea, I appreciate your opinion, but maybe you can go and do a little bit of research. Basically. He said it in a very nice way, but he's like, you know what? Maybe then if you don't know who they are, then you can go and discover who they are. No, that's not how it works, Mr. Khan. You need to tell us who these people are and why they matter. And you realize, Gus, that last night on Collision, Tony Khan kind of woke up a little bit. A little bit. But listen, Tony, this when it comes to overall entertainment, right? Sports, as an example. We don't know all of the players in a rugby match when we're watching like a sport like rugby or just a new sport that we just don't know about, period. Do we need to know all of the players to have a good time? Absolutely not. It's still a decent sport. Like if you go to a hockey game in person and you sit behind the boards, of course you're going to have a good ass time. But at the end of the day, this is a product where you're trying to make long-term characters out of these guys. You're really trying to establish them in a storyline sense, it's world building. We're not, again, Tony Khan's objective versus what's being shown on television are two very different things. And like you said, I think Tony Khan finally realized that. We had the segment this past week where a lot of people were questioning, why the hell is Jun Akiyama in this match against Bryan Danielson? It's yet another dream match. It's yet another random match. Of course, right, there is the context that Eddie Kingston, his idol, is Jun Akiyama. But from a television perspective, from a casual TV viewer's perspective, they're absolutely not going to know that. Jun Akiyama isn't even from AEW. He's from DDT, a company that AEW barely even works with. The DDT logo was shown for the first time in years on AEW TV. People don't know what DDT even means. So finally, before the match happens, throughout the show, for people that would be tuning in specifically to Bryan Danielson versus Jun Akiyama, they would have gotten
the explanation from Bryan Danielson and from commentary, Tony Khan finally just throwing it all out there, just throwing in the towel and saying, fine, here's the story. Tony Khan is finally giving us information.
Yeah, if you look at the comparison of WWE to AEW, I think why a lot of members of AEW are leaving is so they can get that larger-than-life spotlight that WWE likes to give. Jade Cargill has only debuted in one match so far. She hasn't really shown her face other than these little backstage promos. But every time you see her, oh, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. And that's where AEW lacks, is that if you're showing a backstage promo of someone that is going to debut, it just doesn't feel larger than life right now. And I think that's what AEW have to focus on in the years to come. Again, they're only 5 years old, so I get it. But yeah, a lot more AEW talent are going to be jumping over, and you're going to be seeing Andrade, for example. He's only had 3 vignettes so far, and I'm already a fan of Andrade. I didn't really understand who he was in AEW, but you see these backstage promos, he grabs the mask, he puts it on. You're like, this guy's a badass. This guy's cool. AEW never did that for me.
Yeah. But at least now we don't have a lot of new characters to build, so we don't have that example to kind of work off of. And especially Lady Frost, I feel like we should have gotten a lot more for Lady Frost from in comparison to what we got in the match. Again, we did get like just a video package of what she did down in Mexico, but like, seriously, like, again, it's just merit-based stuff. It's yet another wrestling match. I get it, AEW but we're watching a professional wrestling show. But this is a show. Like, this is world building. This is stories that we're looking to tell. We want to know, as a fan, I want to know how to fantasy book kind of Lady Frost a little bit more, right? Or any of these people. I don't actually physically have anywhere that I would put this person, even though in the match that we saw from Lady Frost, amazing work. Just good, consistent wrestling. You wouldn't know it, though, because nobody's really talking about it. Nobody's talking about the character Lady Frost, but whatever. It's this whole thing where AEW, they are kind of shifting a little bit more now, and we're going to get yet another example of that coming up this next week. FTR and Eddie Kingston facing up against the Blackpool Combat Club. You have Daniel Bryanson in there facing up against Eddie. You still have FTR versus BCC. All right, AEW, they're getting it, but it's going to take a little bit still for every stone to go turned, in a sense.
Yeah, I think that's that topic.
Yeah.
Worn out.
Yeah.
So, let's move on to our sponsor segment.
Oh,
here.
gosh.
We got money talk. We're doing a lot of these talk segments. We got money talk. So,
yeah, we do.
Gus, what's you got anything to talk money about?
Listen, I'm actually trying to mess around with the graphic right now because I don't have money talk ready. Unfortunately, that's unprofessional of me. But thank you to the guys over at G Fuel, of course. They've been supporting me personally for the last 2 years, and I mean, guys, come on. We want to feed some mouths. We want to pay some bills. So simple as that. If y'all want to support us personally, you can go over to gfuel.com and use code, not just UpMind, but we have a new code coming in this week. Code Gus. Code Gus, baby. We got the OG code from G Fuel. Thanks, guys. But I mentioned the show to my G Fuel rep this week, so we'll talk. We'll talk that thing or two up for the future. But yeah, Dan, you got any monies to get? There you go. Well, go help my boy Dan out there. But you also have your YouTube channel, no? There you go. Blowing up. Your main goal is to blow up and act like you don't know nobody. Good for you. Good for you. Sure. Yeah, be humble. Yeah, but thank you again, G Fuel. Go check out Dan's projects. I know you have a video coming out this week, so get on that, folks. But we have a lot more show to get through. Let's do some talky talk.
Let's do some talky talk. Will Ospreay versus Michael Oku. 6 stars from the Wrestling Observer. Insane level match. I saw some clips online. I didn't actually watch the full match, but
I did watch the full match, and it's everything that you expect from a Dave Meltzer 6-star. It's everything that you expect coming out from a Will Ospreay 6-star match. The in-ring psychology, though, is simply something that I was not expecting coming out from Michael Oku. Listen, if you for any reason whatsoever watched Revolution Pro throughout the last year, you would have realized this guy, Michael Oku, and the fact that he is the next kind of torchbearer for the UK pro wrestling scene. It's, again, purely because this guy has it all. He has a great promo right now. He has intensity in the ring. The in-ring psychology is there, or at least he goes with it. He's able to kind of manage it a little better. He's able to show it physically a lot better. But he's still a high flyer. It's what the UK are on right now. And he fits anywhere right now. He can fit in the New Japan scene. He can fit in the AEW scene. He can fit in really any indie scene right now. Michael Oku, is he next? Is he up next? Will he be signed by the end of the year? Yeah. Sure. Okay. I'm glad my opinion's being spotlighted here. But yeah, no, for real. Again, not a lot of people are watching Revolution Pro, which, by the way, I gotta say, there's a good goddamn reason why. Tell me, why did I watch a match from Will Ospreay back in like 2019? And why did I watch the match now and it has the same exact mic quality? What's going on? This same the same camera quality. No shifts to promo packages in the middle of the match. You guys are physically zooming in the camera on the projector to see the promo package? Guys. But you want the short. You want the clip. I hate you. The answer is yes. The answer is absolutely. This guy just fits from a story perspective and from the fact that this guy is just the entire package. He even has a manager next to him that is more than willing to take bumps and be a very poignant part of the story, or just a part of the aura in general. She is a queen fit for a king. And Michael Oku right now, he is being set up like that king type character. He can come in and actually look like a pretty decent deal no matter where he goes. So basically overnight here we have a new major free agent. Yeah. He will be. Yeah, but I gotta tell you again, his promo skills are fine, but he's British. Name the last time we had an actual decent British promo in WWE television. I at this point, it's just Rhea Bloody Ripley, but she has a very poignant, exactly Australian, but still, to be honest, WWE doesn't actually have a great history in actually treating, this is unironic. I don't think they actually have a decent recent history of actually treating these types of characters correctly, or at least giving them the type of spots that they need, purely because, I don't know, some promos just don't feel as right as they feel that they should be. But Michael Oku, he's as dramatic as it could be right now. But he is not the talking piece. And it's German. Yeah. Yeah. See, but like that's the thing. You need such a strong character behind it for that voice to fit. Michael Oku is just gonna be Michael freaking Oku. He's not gonna. Again. Let's see if they can actually make a gimmick out of it. But without a gimmick, Michael Oku is going to AEW. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Well. Well. What time is it, Dan? That's not the right image. It's this one.
Big talk.
It's the big talk. Well. Well, it's the big talk. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the big talk tonight is of course the big news that came out this last week, the big drop from the Wrestling Observer. Of course, it's the awards, and of course we get to talk about it because it's the big talk. So let's just go down the list, right? Let's start at the very tippity top. Wrestler of the Year going to Will Ospreay. I have a Fed head right next to me. What are your thoughts? Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. Again, it was a massive year for Cody, but it was also a big year for Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns is not in this top three. It is none other than a Maxwell Jacob Friedman sitting at a cool number 3. And this is coming in a year where we're going to be talking about this award a little bit later, but MJF is a part of the worst feud of the year. Or the worst angle of the year in terms of the devil. And yeah, no, but even then, the guy's still head and shoulders throughout the entire year. The consistent promo, the consistent in-ring performance, the presentation, MJF was the full package the entire year. But you could say the same thing about Roman Reigns. Did Roman falter at all this year? Mm-hmm. Right. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But again, still at the end of the day, Will Ospreay, that in-ring product was everything. Everything in New Japan. You still had almost 7-star Tokyo Dome Classic with this guy this year. That's again head and shoulders above the rest, Mr. Will Ospreay. But it's not to say that he didn't have competition outside of that. But yeah, big win for him, and he also takes away the most outstanding wrestler category, which we're still trying to figure out what's going on. I would like to think that wrestler encapsulates all of just like the wrestling genre, the art of wrestling, and rather most outstanding wrestler is more just who's shown the best inside of the ring potentially, and that's absolutely what I say with these three. Yeah. But no, but still, you can't really name anyone outside of these three that ended up having that outstanding of a year inside of the ring. I mean, there are a few that were at least consistent. Like you could even put in Sami Zayn up there. You could put in Gunther. You could put in Chad Gable. But yeah, otherwise this does make sense. Unfortunately, though, it is a AEW sweep on this one. Yep. By a long shot, too. There's not even a number 3. Oh, you got to tell me then. You got to tell me who was it? You got to tell me, because I'll tell you. Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi. I mean, you can't really. Right, fine. They were good. They were good in New Japan. They had some good matches, but no actual feuds to really speak of. I don't like that one. But okay. All right. Right. Okay. Yep. Makes sense. At least to our small Americanized minds. But yeah, no, that's a solid 1 and 2. Sami and KO was only a blip in the year at the end of things, but still was a major part of wrestling this year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we can move on. And this one's another big one. Promotion of the year, New Japan Wrestling, AEW, and WWE in the top 3. And the order being the opposite there, where WWE takes number 1 on the year, AEW number 2. Of course, that makes sense to me. At the end of the day, All In happened. It was highest attendance in all time, right, for wrestling. But again, just consistency of the shows. AEW had a couple lows, to say the very least. Not to say the crown jewel was a high for WWE, but still to say at the end of the day, WWE still gave us, to me, best storyline of the year with the Bloodline. And yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they eked out AEW. It wasn't a long shot winner by any means. The gap between AEW and New Japan was by 900 votes, and the gap between WWE and AEW was only 400 votes. So, yeah. 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 And next is also kind of the same thing, kind of something that makes sense, because I can't personally recall a match of the year contender for from the WWE outside of the Triple Threat from WrestleMania, and neither one, no matches from the WWE made it to match of the year. It was both Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega matches. Makes sense. It's Dave Meltzer's list at the end of the day. And MJF versus Bryan Danielson, the Iron Man match. Again, you could have thrown the Gunther Triple Threat match from WrestleMania in there, kind of with that number 3, but makes sense on this one. Okay. That's awesome. That's great. That is awesome that they can't hear you.
Fuck.
We may have gone almost the entire podcast without them being able to hear you. I mean, we had another scene where it worked, but I don't know why this scene specifically does not work.
Oh.
Well, that's awesome.
Well,
No, the recording.
now?
What's up? Oh yeah, they can hear you. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
No, it was a very simple fix. I'm honestly very mad about it. It's OBS on this one. The OBS didn't. So I changed the audio settings for one scene, and it changed for all of them. It just so happens to be because I duplicated this scene. Like I have so I'll show you. I have a 2-camera scene with the topic, and I have a 2-camera scene. Unfortunately, I had to make another output capture for this second one, and I just changed PCs. I'm in Boston this week, not in Philly, so excuses. Sorry about that, folks.
So does the wait? So ever since the big talk came on screen,
I think maybe it was the big talk. I think maybe you haven't. I think yeah. God,
can we redo this?
Are we redoing it? I mean,
We gotta redo it, man.
folks.
For
It's our video. So, folks, we're gonna have to artificially run this back.
Oh my god.
So, hey, we ball. I mean, in the YouTube cut, we're gonna cut this one. We're gonna try to edit this one out. But yeah, no, we're gonna have to try to get a video out of this. So let's go. Let's
crap.
actually let's think about this. Dan, do you want to record this after the show's done and just get through this list?
No, I think we're good. I think we can restart.
Okay, let's restart. Let's restart.
Because-
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All
All right.
Wrestler
Gus?
of the year.
No, we gotta do the intro again.
All right. Okay.
We gotta do the intro. Okay. Gus,
Yeah.
what?
Oh no! I'm sorry. They
Gus?
can see the segment in the bottom. They can see the name of the segment.
Okay,
Hold
you
on.
gotta remove it.
I know. God. All right. All right. Now I'm ready.
Well, Gus,
Well,
what time is it?
oh, I don't know. You tell me. What time is it?
It's the big talk.
Well, it's the big talk. It's our
Big talk.
well. It's a big bad talk tonight, as we actually we did have at least something big come out this week. It wasn't just Elimination Chamber. We had the Wrestling Observer Awards come out this week, and again, mostly predictable going down the board, but considering that it's Dave Meltzer, there's always a couple controversial ones in there. So let's start at the very tippy top. Will Ospreay winning Wrestler of the Year. To me, that makes sense, but Cody Rhodes is right there.
Yeah, no, it absolutely makes sense. Will Ospreay coming in at number 1. He was just the best overall wrestler this year. Every single match that he has is obviously spotlighted by the Wrestling Observer newsletter, by the amount of people online. There's always clips coming from his matches, and there's a very good reason for that. He is the best wrestler on the planet. Even back during the pay-per-view, when Tony Khan had that big announcement, when he was going to announce that new wrestler coming into AEW, I was sitting there, I'm like, please, God, please don't be Will Ospreay, because I wanted him in WWE so badly, but he's going to AEW. It just made sense for his wrestling style. He's not the absolute best promo, so AEW just kind of fits him really well.
Yeah. Again, him being so many votes potentially in front of Cody is something to kind of throw out there. 500 votes Will Ospreay got in front of Cody Rhodes, when in comparison MJF had 400 below Cody. And I don't know if Will Ospreay had that much better of a year in comparison to Cody Rhodes. Like just from an attention, from an awareness perspective, from a popularity perspective, from a consistency standpoint too, both Cody Rhodes and Will Ospreay they were neck and neck. I think this vote should be a lot closer than it really is.
If you think about the year that Will Ospreay's had, he did Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay 1.
Yep.
He did
Huge.
Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay 2. Then he went to All In and faced Chris Jericho, name redacted. And then did he have really anything after? Oh, he had the Michael Oku match just recently. So he had a bunch of matches in New Japan even before that. So yeah, no, he's definitely been the workhorse, but in his matches, he's just been way better than Cody.
Yep.
Cody Rhodes, what did he have this year? He had the Royal Rumble, he had the Roman Reigns match, and then he had the Brock Lesnar feud.
Yeah, the Brock Lesnar feud. Jeez, man.
So yeah, no, I think that Will Ospreay just comes head and shoulders above.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, still a big gap for the fact that Cody is hot right now. But
true.
yeah, MJF number 3 though. No Roman Reigns. MJF over Roman Reigns. That is at least a point to be had. That's a big That's a big bonus for MJF going forward. But I think at the end of the day, it's just Roman fatigue, right?
Yeah, Roman Reigns, his matches are all the same. Everyone's been saying it past WrestleMania. Well, okay, wait. Past WrestleMania, he wasn't at Backlash. He was at Money in the Bank, and that was the tag team match, and that was a lot of fun. But past that, yeah, no, he really hasn't had anything big. He had the LA Knight match. That match really sucked. That's really it.
Yeah.
The build up to that match was amazing, but yeah.
Not from an entertainment perspective, not from an in-ring perspective. We didn't see, Roman truly come out this year, but we still did see Bloodline come out. He's still a solid number 4, number 5, but a great year for wrestling in general, if that's our number 3. Most outstanding wrestler, these ones kind of make sense from an in-ring perspective. Will Ospreay almost doubled the amount of votes from his number 2 in terms of Bryan Danielson. Kenny Omega right behind Bryan Danielson. Not even right behind. Kenny Omega has 1/3 of the votes that Bryan Danielson has.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Bryan Danielson had a lot bigger of a tour over in Japan. Had a couple of freaking bangers, to say the least. Laura consistently throughout the year had more bangers. Kenny Omega was absent for almost half the year. So again, can't really take anything away there. Most outstanding wrestler, Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson, and a solid second. Tag team of the year, though. Well, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. What a start to the year, right? What a storyline.
The chair shot heard around the world was the biggest storyline going into the Royal Rumble, or coming out of the Royal Rumble.
Right.
And then it was, okay, is Sami and KO going to come together to beat down the Usos? Everyone was predicting that to happen, and it did happen as well. So it just makes sense. But past WrestleMania, Sami and KO fell off. Boom. And even they said it. They said it themselves in an interview, in a shoot interview, is that I wish that creative did something with this title reign to maybe bring these tag team titles just up to a better standard. Fun fact, there was actually a small report going around that one of the theories to get the tag team belts split, KO was going through his emotional phase, if you remember that earlier in the year. He was like,
he hates everyone. Stop talking. No talking.
Yeah, he got really angry. So one of the theories floating around was KO is just going to hand the SmackDown belts over to Imperium and saying, you know what? You want to face me? You can just take it. And then he was just going to throw the belts on Imperium. And then Sami and KO were going to be the Raw tag team champions. And then Imperium was going to be the SmackDown. And that was one of the reports that came out, and it obviously wasn't good. So yeah, they didn't go with that.
I'm glad they axed that.
It's so funny.
Would have made the titles look like trash instead of elevating it. So very, very good. I'm glad that happened. But that's your number 2 on the year, though. Yes. Number 1, of course, FTR, 6-star FTR. They had a great year. They had banger on top of banger on top of banger on top of banger on top of banger to begin the year. So, can't take that away.
No, you definitely can't. Promotion of the year, WWE at number 1, AEW number 2, New Japan at number 3, WWE having 2,300, AEW having 1,900. Mm-hmm. So, very close 1 and 2. It makes sense as to why WWE is in first place, though, because they just had the stories, they had the feeling, they were head and shoulders above AEW in terms of the story. But AEW, they have great wrestling, and so there's fans that love that, and there's fans that love story.
Yeah. Still very close vote, though, in comparison to what is the gap between New Japan and AEW. 900 votes between AEW and New Japan, 400 votes between AEW and WWE. But still, at the end of the day, from a storyline perspective, from an entertainment perspective, WWE did come out on top in terms of just that overall, but just barely. I agree. This one might get a little bit tough. Best weekly show. And up at the top, sure, we could cut
at number 2.
Exactly. We were gonna get to that. Number 1 being Dynamite, not exactly a surprise, but number 2 is Collision.
I mean, when it first debuted, maybe Punk. Punk made that show so much fun, but.
Right. I mean, it's hard to say, because when I think of a wrestling show, I want to think of just an identity, right? Just a group of people, I guess. And they're trying to almost like subconsciously do that, just like kind of make you feel as if these people belong in Collision. But at the end of the day, AEW fumbled the development of this show. And this show isn't as good as it could have potentially been if one or two things changed, aka an actual roster split, a separated title between Collision and Dynamite, just overall making Collision its own product. But it looks like WWE almost went, or not WWE, AEW went the WWE route when they first split SmackDown and Raw. And keeping the two together, though, that doesn't give me number 2 show of the year, especially when SmackDown's right there.
Yeah, I think that definitely, I don't know if Raw fits best show of the year, but definitely SmackDown was a lot of fun this year.
Yep.
Dynamite, the best example that I have, if you've never watched Dynamite, it's basically, if you've ever played Borderlands, I've never played it, but I've seen the trailer. And that guy, he just injects a needle into his neck, and he just goes absolutely crazy, and he hulks up, basically. That's what it's like watching Dynamite.
You're describing Excalibur right now.
Exactly. Because the show is just one big adrenaline. It's Tony Khan, basically. And it's just, what can we throw at this show that just speeds up the show like crazy in 2 hours of TV? Yeah, it's an absolute trip to go on. That's why people love it, but
it's a fun trip, to be honest. Like, it's
not a fun trip.
If of all the shows in the week, you're probably gonna have like the most like swerve bros on AEW. You're gonna have more creative storylines, I guess. Storylines being dream matches being portrayed as storylines, which at the end of the day, that's not a storyline. But it's still something. It's still entertaining. Yeah. But yeah, Collision being number 2, just they deserve to be under a WWE product. Simple as that. But there's a reason why the vote is so split. Dynamite was head and shoulders above everyone else, apparently, by 1,300 votes, with 2,700. At 1,485, though, is Collision. 1,434. That is only a what? That is a 49-point gap. I tried to do quick maths. I think that worked out. SmackDown under Collision. So I guess, but I think SmackDown to me had the better look, had the better overall entertainment factor. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, moving on to match of the year, Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega ended up winning. In first place. Second place, Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega at Forbidden Door 2.
We don't like dropping people on heads, apparently.
Wow. And then MJF versus Bryan Danielson in the Iron Man match coming in at number 3. This is a crazy, crazy top 3.
Yeah.
I slightly agree with the 1 and 2. I think that I could have switched them and been completely fine.
Yep.
But I don't know. MJF versus Bryan Danielson, that was probably the best Iron Man match I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that could have easily been number 1, but at the end of the day, we had a Tokyo Dome Classic, which True. At the end of the day, we're talking about a list made by Dave Meltzer, and it kind of makes sense that this is the order that we got. It's not like we didn't have good matches coming out of the WWE. We were talking earlier about the triple threat between Gunther, Drew, and Sheamus, but at the end of the day here, man, we have 3 all-time matches from the indie perspective, or still coming out of AEW technically in terms of AEW talent. But we move on away from all of this North American nonsense, so we get to talk about the country MVPs, the Japanese and the Mexican MVPs within Japan. One guy, again, of course, he's Wrestler of the Year, so of course he's going to be the best from that country. He's not actually from this country, but he made the most noise there. It's Will Ospreay.
Yeah, Will Ospreay coming in at number 1, and then you have Okada at number 2. And I think you had some thoughts on Okada not getting Wrestler or MVP of the Year. Yeah,
I would just say that, like, it's more just the energy that Okada is getting right now from the Japanese crowd. It's right. in terms of like the Japanese country's MVP, their people's champion right now is Okada, but they've fully embraced Will Ospreay and the quality of his matches and how consistent he's been. So not exactly a surprise that that Will Ospreay was the one to take it away. Naito getting number 3, also a great shout. Another great year from him with the G1. The Mexican MVP though is somewhere where we get to talk a little bit more about though, because number 1 is Mystico and number 2 is Vikingo. Again, we're not educated whatsoever on what's going on in the week to week in AAA and CMLL. But if you're just talking about Mexican in promotion wrestling, we can't talk about that. Everything we've seen outside though, Vikingo has been the guy from Mexico this last year. He was almost being considered as Wrestler of the Year going into last year. I could see, of course, that the people love Mystico. I have a friend who went to Mexico, isn't a wrestling fan, and knows who Mystico is. But at the end of the day, Vikingo was kind of just that spotlight coming out of the year for me from Mexico.
Yeah, I'm a WWE mark, and so I don't know any of these guys.
So no, yes, you do. You know who Mystico is. You know. He is Sin Cara.
Oh. That's a meme.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure is.
Yeah. I've heard of the name Vikingo as well. I've heard of the name. I've never seen a Vikingo match, but yeah, man. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You said what? You said what? You said what? What?
Gus, please
Excuse me.
Please, Gus, don't hate me.
Not a single spot? Nothing?
No.
Nothing.
Maybe by accident. Is that my homework for next week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, let's move on.
Gladly.
The Hodge Award, Vikingo again.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and talk about this.
Yeah, no, it's the non-heavyweight award. Basically, my hair is as if my hair wasn't messed up, but my hair's more messed up now. Vikingo, Hiromu Takahashi, and Darby Allin coming into this one, and the vote was pretty tight. At the end of the day, Vikingo again was the best high flyer in the world. Maybe you could give it to maybe a Will Ospreay, but Will Ospreay's not even a natural high flyer. And Vikingo, innovation is all I will tell you, okay?
Yeah.
You'll be seeing things. If you just look up Vikingo on good old X, on good old Twitter.com, you'll find plenty of clips, bro. You'll find plenty of clips of moves that you have never seen in your life. Vikingo, he deserves it. Hiromu Takahashi, he is up next. I don't understand what New Japan is doing, trying to create an ace outside of Takahashi, but Hiromu is up next. The kids love Hiromu. He's coming. He's coming, to say the least. I just really wish the guy had a little bit better of a promo, but his presentation is amazing right now. Darby Allin in number 3. I'm trying to think of the other light heavyweights, just light guys in the world period, and I guess I don't know if you would ever consider Sami Zayn to still be within that within that grab. I think he is now considered a heavyweight, but the small guys truly. Yeah, Darby Allin did have a good year. I would almost argue that Orange Cassidy maybe have had a slightly better year. He did have a long championship reign, but not too many highlights on it. Darby Allin though makes sense.
I think that the big thing with OC's championship run is that Tony Khan kind of screwed him in the end, which could be a hot take, but it felt a little weird because you had this big story with Orange Cassidy where he was defending the belt every single week. He was the workhorse for that championship, which was so good, and then he lost it to Jon Moxley. And after that, I was like, okay, Orange Cassidy isn't going to go back to that gimmick, right? And then I guess Tony Khan didn't really know what to do with him. And so they just gave the belt back to Orange Cassidy, and now he's still being that workhorse. It's super weird to go back to a storyline. It's almost like if you have Sami Zayn, and then he starts to feud with the Bloodline again. It's like, no, he's done that already. He's moving on. He wants to win a championship now.
Yeah.
So Orange Cassidy a little lost right now in terms of story.
Yeah. We get to move on to the other side of things. We haven't mentioned any women throughout this list, though. Even though I think there could have been a couple of candidates for potentially Wrestler of the Year to go there, but the women's wrestling MVPs, we talked about it earlier, head and shoulders above everyone else, double the amount of votes to the person in second place, Rhea Bloody Ripley in first place. We expect that, of course. Julia in second, Athena in third. Perfectly fine to me. Athena has only been consistent throughout Ring of Honor right now. Julia, same exact thing. Anything that you see from her over in Stardom has been just a good technical wrestling match. Again, I would like a little bit more character work coming out of Julia, but Athena's character has been something to look out for. But it's Rhea Ripley. Is there really anything else I can say here?
No, I talked about it earlier. Rhea just looks so good right now in terms of her wrestling, in terms of her character performance. Just the absolute glow up that she's had from, 2 years ago when she was in a tag team with Liv Morgan and turning on her. And just the garbage that she was going through on the mid card. All of a sudden joining the Judgment Day, just becoming, mommy. And she's just so good overall. Yeah. Feud of the Year award goes to Sammy and KO versus the Bloodline. It just makes sense, because that feud was just what really carried the first part of 2023. Coming in at second, Paige versus Strickland. Very interesting, because this feud came later in the year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's still technically ongoing. If anything, we're looking at a feud that was maybe a month long. At that. So. Yeah, great from those two. We can't really talk about the Japanese feud that went down, even though it was hot. If anything, that is our homework to do this week. But yeah, Sammy and KO versus the Bloodline. It's a revolutionary storyline. It's one that I think it is a big driving force as to some of the higher awareness towards WWE this year. Everyone talked about this storyline when it happened, and nobody knew who Sami Zayn was from just a general perspective, from a general wrestling perspective, before this Bloodline thing started. From someone who's purely casual, they would have seen his conspiracy gimmick and his work in NXT, which I don't think a casual viewer is really looking at. So Sami Zayn comes out, looks great, shows a huge target on this company. The fact that there is a lot more talent outside of just the upper echelon that the company is pushing again and again and again. But Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland, it's tough to really call that a feud for more than just for what was before the actual match that they had. But at the end of the day, it was hot. The match that they ended up having was the cherry on top for the feud to have that fire. And again, technically the feud is still going, so can't really mark any points off of it, purely because of the fact that it looks really good right now. It feels really good right now. The 2023 portion felt really good. It's just that it could have used a cherry on top, I guess. It could have used another chapter to the story.
Yeah, very well said. Best box office award goes to Roman Reigns. It just simply makes sense. We didn't actually have, for some reason, they didn't have any actual numbers for this. I don't know if Dave Meltzer just said, this is my award, and just put these three in there. All WWE guys, kind of interestingly. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and John Cena. John Cena being a weird dark horse at number 3. Huge
dark horse, but it's exactly that. What I was saying earlier in terms of that mainstream appeal, I feel like Sami Zayn should have been on this list. His pull earlier in the year was anything involving Sammy was hot. But yeah, by the middle of the year, but the simple fact that Sammy and KO kept going in that whole, same match cycle that they did for a few months, that almost completely killed off any momentum that Sammy had as an individual. So yeah, overall box office on the year, I guess John Cena's little run was worth it to kind of get people through the door. And yeah, I don't think anyone in AEW is significantly someone that is selling tickets individually. MJF, I'm sure he could try, but at the end of the day, I don't think that the events that he was on would have sold worse off or better than if he wasn't on that show, or if he was. That's just my take.
Yeah, there's a small argument to make that no one would have watched the pre-show for All In if
Very true.
MJF wasn't on it.
Very true.
And they continued that pattern going into the year. Is that all right? People are now watching the pre-show because of MJF. So yeah, instead of John Cena, I would have put MJF because yes, John Cena in years past has been big box office, but this year he just had the match at Payback and then Crown Jewel, and I didn't watch Crown Jewel for John Cena, and I didn't watch Payback for John Cena either. So yeah, kind of weird.
Yeah, very weird, but at the end of the day, we have a lot more to go through. Still, we have the most improved section here. Kind of a surprise in number one, Julia Hart. Is that really our number one?
No. She definitely had a huge improvement. Just seeing her at the beginning of the year with the House of Black. Sure, she was their little lackey, and then now she's TBS champion. That big of a glow up, sure, but Dominic Mysterio, I mean, think about his 2023. He started the year off just absolutely insane, because he had that little, jail gimmick, and then he moved right on to Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania. He continued that feud going on into the year. He's just been so good.
Yeah. To me, that was going to be our number one. I actually don't know why Mariah May actually sneaked into their number three, because I guess she needed a little bit more character work, but from an overall perspective, she was fine. She was always fine. She was always going to be someone that would fit into AEW. But the high though that she's on right now, I guess that makes sense. If that's technically an improvement, but I'm sure other wrestlers can make a case just for that sort of improvement, right? But next though is a little bit of what we wanted earlier in terms of who is poignant in this company, who is charismatic. Most charismatic is MJF in number one. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't think there's really too much to say on this one, because MJF, he had the best sports entertainment. He was just so good to see in person. I think that the biggest takeaway from MJF, at least for my 2023, is that I watched him all year and then got to see him at Forbidden Door 2. And he just completely controlled that match in terms of the crowd, in terms of the reactions. Me included, with a lot of people in my section were bowing down to him when he came out. And so he's just such a fun wrestler to watch. So much fun in terms of just, little bits that he's taken from the wrestlers past, little bits that he's creating for himself, the kangaroo kick, the double clothesline bit that he was doing. It's just so much fun to watch MJF wrestle.
No. But at least in terms of number two, this at least to me, right? This is a complete change from where this person was earlier on in his career, or in his last phase of his career. If you had told me 5 years ago, when he had came back, and by the way, today is the anniversary of his cancer going into remission, Roman Reigns, number two. If you had told me exactly 5 years ago to the date that Roman Reigns was getting most charismatic, I would just disregard anything that you ever say ever again, because Roman Reigns was a little bit of a laughingstock. No, the big dog wasn't something that this guy was believing. Nothing on his script was something that he believed. But Roman Reigns getting most charismatic. It's honestly good to see that in a sort of full circle fashion.
Yeah, makes sense. Roman, he really controls the ring and controls the crowd when he's in there. I don't want to include his 2024 run, just yet, but in 2023 for sure, that he's just had such a fun year in terms of just being that tribal chief. He's really good right now. Moving on to best technical wrestler, this makes sense. Bryan Danielson coming in at number one, Zack Sabre Jr. coming in at number two. It just makes sense because both of these guys, they had the match, that technical match at the, I don't know what pay-per-view it was, but was it Wrestle Dream that they had that technical match? Yeah. Still fun.
Yes, it was Wrestle Dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, simple as that. Bryan Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr. There is legitimately nobody in the number 3 as a competitor. Yes, Josh Alexander is there, but Zack Sabre Jr., number 2, has 427 votes. Josh Alexander, 17. We move on to the next, though. It's the best brawler, which is this one's a suggestive, a kind of a objective one, I guess you could say. Where Jon Moxley, he's definitely the brawler guy that we look at in the industry. Tomohiro Ishii, he's the Pitbull, I guess, the Stone Pitbull. Adam Page, he's had a lot of scrappy matches. Don't really know where to put this up in terms of like who to recommend for this, because at the end of the day, Jon Moxley is that number 1.
What is a brawler?
What is a brawler? Is it a striker? Is it a guy who does like DDTs? I
don't know. The only one that really comes to mind in terms of brawler, like
Jon Moxley. Like that is the archetype I kind of think of, I guess.
Yeah, but like Roman is also kind of a brawler. Kind of.
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very weird. It's a weird category, but I would have liked to see other members at the top of this list. Like, if you're gonna have a best brawler category, maybe just a lot more top-heavy names.
Yeah. Ishii on the year, I can't. Sure, I mean, Ishii did have a moment in AEW, but it's not like his entire year was something to kind of revere like that, you know what I mean, or in like an award sense. But definitely just the archetype for a guy like Ishii for sure. Adam Page for sure. It makes sense, but definitely was looking for a little more. Yeah. We can move on.
Best high flyer, Vikingo coming in at number 1, Will Ospreay number 2, Rey Fenix number 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense, right?
Yep. And makes sense. Except for the fact that Will Ospreay has 1/10 of the votes that Vikingo does.
I don't know what happened here, but yeah.
My simple fact: that door is open for a reason. That's the door you should be walking through to get out and watch some Vikingo clips.
It's true. All
Simple
right,
as that.
moving on. Most overrated. Most overrated. This is actually funny. Really funny. Number 1 is Sonata.
Oh, gosh.
It makes sense because his match at Forbidden Door 2 versus Jungle Boy sucked.
And the title feud in general was just... It was a nothing burger.
Roman Reigns at number 2.
Gosh. I don't know.
Number 3. Yeah, okay.
No, Punk for sure. I get it. I get it. Because what has he done? What is he... Like, in the ring, what has this guy done as a wrestler? Explain.
He returned. I don't know. It was a good return.
He came. Yeah, simple. He came. And he came. No, but CM Punk, he actually deserves to be in some sort of overrated category. But Roman Reigns, listen, I'm sure you could say I guess his matches kind of look the same, but no, Roman Reigns is legitimately a top star right now. Let's move on. Underrated instead of the overrated. Chad Gable in number 1, Takeshita number 2 right behind him, and Daniel Garcia number 3. I'm not going to lie. I'm a fan of all 3 of these people from the very beginning, so I feel very justified. But yeah, it's another one that makes sense. If anything, I feel like Chad Gable should have a lot of votes this year.
Yeah, Chad Gable, he had a fun year with Gunther, and then he went right back to sports entertainment. And I criticized this heavily.
I don't think that's on him, though, you know?
It's not. It's definitely not. He was so wasted in the sports entertainment area when he's literally the reincarnation of... God, what's his name? Kurt Angle. Holy crap.
Yep.
I don't know how I forgot that name, but literally the reincarnation of Kurt Angle, and he's just being wasted in these nothing feuds with the Alpha Academy. It's just it's not good. Yeah,
but definitely an underrated guy. Takeshita, if anything, he's honestly like rated. He's not overrated, he's not underrated, he's perfectly rated because this guy is on his way up. People realize it. He's being booked that way. Very different story between him and Chad Gable, which is why I'm saying Chad Gable should be a lot higher on this list. But Takeshita is only 4 votes behind Chad Gable. That's 84 and 80 respectively. Daniel Garcia, number 3, makes sense. But again, the guy's been booked, and I don't think the guy has kind of shown too much outside of what the company has actually been trying to showcase out of him. He's a good sports entertainer. He's a pretty decent wrestler, but not one that you would claim to be like a perfect guy, like a top 3 that's gonna end up like in best wrestler or in best technical wrestler category. But he's definitely one to look out for the future. To me, he's gonna be almost be like a Dolph Ziggler type of guy going forward.
Yeah, I think he's just waiting for his AEW contract to end.
Yep.
Actually, he's really hot in AEW, but I don't know.
I don't know if he would be that hot in WWE though, but that's another.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
Best non-wrestler, Don Callis.
Yeah. On the year? You can't.
Paul Heyman?
Did Paul Heyman do anything wrong?
Best non-wrestler.
Who else? Who else is a better non-wrestler? Prince Nana is right there in 3rd by doing this.
Don Callis. Don Callis is number 3. Paul Heyman's number 1. Prince Nana number 2.
Okay. All right.
That's my opinion. I can
handle that.
Because Don Callis, he had the Don Callis family. That's it.
But
Paul
the most
Heyman's
in
been
ring
beside Roman this whole time.
The most mic work though did go to Don Callis. It's not like Paul Heyman didn't have his moments, but he didn't actually have like more than like 2 promos, I think, or not promos, excuse me, but actual like in-ring important character work for Paul Heyman.
Carried Roman Reigns' absence.
Yeah.
So heavily on SmackDown.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, Don Callis was actively creating his wrestlers. It's not like Roman Reigns needed Paul Heyman, you know? Don Callis was putting together and making stars. Like Powerhouse Hobbs was in a much different place going into the year. Oh my God, what's his name? Kyle Fletcher, much different place going into this year comparison to the last year. He was in a tag team for love's sake. And this guy is now individual, standing on his own and actually looks impressive. And Don Callis was still able to make 2 individual storylines, the rivalry storylines with wrestlers, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, to the point where he was able to weave both of them into a tag team so they could go up against them because of 2 completely different storylines. There's a lot to Don Callis this year, you know?
Yeah. Well, very well said. I think you've changed my opinion there.
Okay.
So, there you go. Best TV announcer. Best.
Whoa, here we go.
Best.
This is where we fit, folks. This is technically our jobs here.
This is me and you.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't know, we are X.
This guy is. I'm trying. Okay, hire me.
We're trying. We're trying. We did a lot of commentary work in esports.
Yes,
so
we did.
We know what to listen for.
Correct.
In terms of the TV announcer, in terms of what sucks. So these next two topics really hit close to home. Best TV announcer, Excalibur at number 1, Ian Riccaboni at number 2, and Kevin Kelly at number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Where is Michael Cole?
Michael Cole, to me, did have an improvement year, and he deserves to be number 2 right there.
Number 2.
He deserves to be number 2. Excalibur, to me, is head and shoulders the most, like, overall, like, commentator. This guy could run a desk on his own. I think Michael Cole struggles in the technical aspect of things. Excalibur, that's his forte. And I feel like Excalibur is on a similar, if not lower level than Michael Cole in a lot of other aspects. But if you just put in the overall performance, it has been Excalibur for me. But Michael Cole does deserve a spot there.
Okay. Worst TV announcer, Booker T at number 1, Kevin Patrick at number 2, and Jim Ross.
Oh, God.
At number 3.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
I need to hear you on this one because you like Booker T. You like the book.
I don't mind Booker T. Him on the desk in NXT with this guy's name. Should know his name. Vic Joseph.
Yeah, come on.
It's not bad.
I was gonna say not the British one.
No, not the British one. Definitely not bad. right?
Yeah.
Booker, they complement each other really well, and I think that they've spent their time in NXT just improving on that synergy.
Mm-hmm.
But when Booker has his little moments of, it just kind of sounds a little off and weird. And so I could see why. But in 2023, in 2023, Kevin Patrick almost killed Raw. I hated his commentary over this past year because, yeah, sure, like
It was just bland.
It was just.
He didn't do more than the job description told him to do.
Okay, so him coming into the role, yeah, really, he came into the role not knowing any moves. He called the end of days the ring around the Rosie.
Huh?
And I swear to God. And Corey Graves was like, ring around the Rosie? That's the end of days. And he didn't let him live that down.
That's actually amazing.
Ever since then, there has been this weird power struggle of Corey Graves doing play-by-play and color. And then Kevin Patrick's just there, like, Shinsuke, Sami Zayn, what a move.
Yeah.
It's just goes for the cover.
I mean,
it's very basic things that me and you could do.
Simply put, he didn't need to be in the position that he was in when he got it. He deserved way more development time because the guy was on the desk doing good stuff. But on commentary, yeah, he deserves to be number one there in that segment.
He deserves to be number one with 3,000 points. We're moving on.
Yeah.
Best PLE/pay-per-view. AEW Revolution at number 1, AEW Forbidden Door 2 at number 2, and then AEW All In at number 3.
AEW, do you have any counter to that? Is there any WWE PLE that did it? No?
No, because when you... The thing is with me and AEW is that I'm going to buy the pay-per-view. It just makes sense because the pay-per-view is just so good. You have top to bottom so many matches. I think I would do with less matches. I criticize Forbidden Door 2 for being way too long.
And
it
was.
What's odd about that is that I made a short about this, or a TikTok way back, like what could have been cut from this show. And I said that the Young Bucks match could have been cut. I said that the Sting match, I think that was maybe the same match, but the Sting match could have been cut because following Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega is so hard. And that should have been evented. Yeah. And then I also then believe that Bryan Danielson should have been cut as well. And the only reason why I believe that is because, yes, it was a good match, but when you have banger after banger after banger, it gets really boring. Yeah. It gets so boring after a while. And it just takes a lot of emotion out of you. So if you give us 4, 5, 6 matches on a card, perfect, because then it's quality over quantity. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that those matches were bad, the ones that I wanted to remove. I just think that they could have been spotlighted a little bit differently.
Yeah. No, again, just overall fair. When you look at an AEW pay-per-view, like you're looking at quality up and down the card, no matter what. That's what AEW is known for. They're known for consistent wrestling, and PLEs are all about wrestling. So it's all about the in-ring product. Again, to me, no complaints. I did enjoy Forbidden Door, but Revolution was better. All In was a great experience, but in terms of the in-ring, not as good. We move on, though, and not a lot to really talk about here, where, come on, it's kind of predictable. Worst PLE pay-per-views of the year. Crown Jewel at number 1, NWA Samhain at number 2, and AEW World's End at number 3. Can't really talk about the number 2 too much. Crown Jewel, like, it's Crown Jewel.
Yeah, blue. That show sucked.
Yeah. I mean, I was just hoping for a lot more. It didn't look like the build to Crown Jewel was that bad, but ultimately fell short. But AEW World's End, that was hyped.
I paid $60 for that.
We were all on it. We wanted to see that pay-per-view do incredibly well, but
yeah, it wasn't good. There was a lot of matches on there that were a lot of filler, and the ending to the Devil really sucked.
Yep.
So
yeah, was hoping for a lot there.
Yeah, best wrestling maneuver of the year: Will Ospreay's Hidden Blade at number 1.
Yep.
Will Ospreay's Storm Break at number 2, and then Kenny Omega's One Winged Angel.
Yep, makes sense to me. Again, this is all. I mean, honestly, you could put in a Vikingo move in there. You could have put in. Who is that? Iho, the Vikingo, my friend. But yeah, no, yeah. Vikingo easily could have ended up on this top 3. Ignore Dan entirely. This dude's up next. But yeah, I'm just now thinking about. I don't know if I really hot take a little bit. Hidden Blade's a little weird. Like I feel like there are moves in Will Ospreay's like repertoire that, very simply put, they are hurting the other person for that entertainment value. And this is one of the ones that absolutely scare me if I ever want to become a wrestler, because this guy is going full without any knowledge of when he's coming. Like, sure, you can hear him coming, but at the end of the day, you're hit. Like, he is full on whacking you in the back of the head, and not the best visual to me. It looks a little violent, but yeah. Same thing with the Tiger Driver, though. I just don't like looking at it.
Yeah. There's a lot of these little moves that you can debate whether you should remove them or not.
Yeah.
The Hidden Blade, he's even gone on record saying that it is very violent. But
yeah,
you've definitely seen some Hidden Blades where he's going lighter. He's hitting them with the tricep instead of the full arm, and that's completely fine in terms of how I perceive it. But if you're in such like a 6-star match and you have that adrenaline in you, you're not holding back with that move if you're Will Ospreay. And maybe
makes
watch
sense.
out for that in the future. Worst TV show, NWA Power.
Oh, this one's.
I'm gonna again come out as a WWE mark. I didn't even know that was a TV show.
What, bro?
So
no, hold on, no. Hold on now. How did you find out about LA Knight before he came to the main roster?
I didn't. He was. He was always Max Dupree to me, and then
that's unfortunate.
Everyone's like, LA Knight's coming back, and I'm like, who's that? And so I looked up highlights of.
Did you see Shoes of a Champion or no?
His Shoes of a Champion, of course.
Okay, so that was NWA Power. That was the branding right there and then.
Okay, I get it now.
All right.
This is weird though, because promotion of the year was WWE, but worst TV show was Raw. So. AEW marks, I hate you.
Yeah, no, I think very simply put, the middle of the year, the whole ending off the show, Sammy, KO, Cody versus Judgment Day versus whoever the heck for the same for about a month or two. Not good. I simply did not enjoy watching that television show from week to week every single time. Dynamite, I never came out with really any regrets. There was at least one peak in the show where I would be like, okay, all right, well, this at least I can remember and can at least like enjoy. But there's a lot of Raws where you come out with basically nothing. And it's the same thing with NXT. But again, NXT, you have to kind of give the benefit of the doubt there. They're going through 2.0. They're going through the fact that they don't have any actual independent or a high caliber independent wrestlers. So, yeah, NXT is going to be a hit or miss from week to week.
Worst match of the year. We heavily debated on this before the show.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight came in number 1. I disagree with that. Tyrus versus EC3, garbage.
Yep.
And Shane versus Miz literally wasn't even a match, and it came in at number 3. I don't know what's going on with this one here, but all I know is that Shane tore his quad. Tyrus, I think I saw one clip of this match, and Tyrus like bounced off of the ropes in the awkwardest way possible.
Yep.
And he retired at the end of the night.
Yeah. I mean, him retiring, that makes it a great match. But listen, dude. Yeah, no, this match in general, it was a bull rope match, so I mean there was a couple of good spots, but or at least a couple of like half decent spots, but one of the slowest matches I've ever seen. Yeah, definitely take that out of there, put that in number 1. But yeah, Shane versus Miz, we had a Snoop Dogg spot.
Yeah,
that's all I care about, dude. I don't care.
I think that they're just talking about the Shane versus Miz aspect of it, because or else in brackets they would have and Snoop Dogg. If he was in brackets there, I could see this being off of the list.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, if that's the case though, let's be real. If that's the case, Bray versus LA Knight is off this list. They had a perfectly fine match. It's what happened after the match that kind of like, what was that?
I think that the match going into it, everyone was like, what's going on? Is it going to be literally the two wrestlers have bags over their head and it's a pitch black match, literally?
Yeah.
Or is it, the arena's going to be...
We had no idea. It was goofy.
The reports came out that it was going to be a dark arena with a lot of neon, and everyone's like, oh, God, this is going to suck.
Yeah.
And it did suck.
The match itself was fine.
Though it wasn't the worst match of the year.
Okay, it was literally like if you catch that on a Raw or on a Dynamite, just that basic standard match, zero complaints. Like it was just the neon that kind of made it corny, but they didn't even play up the neon portion outside of like the little like the paper or the confetti, yeah.
The confetti spot.
Yeah, but even then it worked out. Like it was just way too fast of a match.
Worst feud of the year, MJF versus the Devil. I think that's just recency bias, I think.
Is it?
It wasn't horrible, but it was very predictable. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. It was bad, but it was like, oh, it has to be Adam Cole. I think that the reason why people think that this feud sucks so much is because the after effect.
Correct.
Like now the Undisputed Kingdom now,
correct.
Yes, it sucks.
No, the Undisputed Kingdom when they started, like
when that feud started, everyone was like, "Ooh, who's the Devil? Ooh, who's the Devil?"
Yeah, but just too convoluted to me. Could have ended a lot earlier. It's just the fact that it was Adam Cole the whole time, and it could have been someone completely different, and they were pointing in multiple directions. Nothing was clear about that storyline. I didn't like it. I wasn't sports entertained. Okay, simple as that.
So let's speed this up a little bit because we got about 5 more to go, and that's about it.
And we are 2 hours into our show.
Worst promotion of the year. NWA at number 1, AAA at number 2, WWE at number 3. What's going on there?
What is going on? AEW can't call them a bad promotion because of the in-ring product, but WWE there?
It's questionable.
What about Ring of Honor? What about TNA?
What about Rampage? What about...
Yeah, just... Oh, no, it's a promotion. It's promotion.
Sorry, promotion.
Right, so it would be, it would be the last two.
Yeah. Best Booker, Triple H, makes sense because he's just been on fire this year.
The storytelling has been
insane. Just every again, I said this earlier, every single match on Raw you can go back, it has some sort of a backstory to it. Whether it was the week before, we're going to face you next week. He's been forced to book like that, and it just makes the show
exactly
that much better.
You're not getting a Serena Deeb versus Lady Frost for the simple fact that Serena Deeb is a decent wrestler and Lady Frost is a decent wrestler. Right. Simple as that.
Right. Promoter of the year, Nick Khan, coming in at number 1, TK at number 2, Dana White at number 3.
Dana White at number 3. White. What happened there?
This was also MMA. So there were
they factored in MMA.
Yeah, there was a couple of awards that I left out, and it was a couple of MMA ones.
Okay.
TK in terms of the pay-per-views, I agree with, but Nick Khan in terms of what he's done to promote the product as well as the stadium shows, it's just next level. Yeah,
I would almost say that Dana White is higher than TK, but Dana White had.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, but he had controversy in the middle of last year, and if anything, that was bad PR. For
redacted
for the company.
Best gimmick. Best gimmick. So this is a weird one. We'll not combine these two, but best gimmick goes to Tony Storm, Christian Cage, and Orange Cassidy. What's going on?
Is there what? No. The scale here is what's scaring me. Tony Storm and Christian Cage, heads and shoulders above the rest. Sure, Tony Storm at 239, Christian Cage at 204. But Orange Cassidy with only 48 votes. Is there no other gimmick in that number 3?
This has been my problem with the women's division in AEW is that all it literally took was one gimmick. I can't really name right now multiple gimmicks in the women's division in AEW, but Tony Storm is the best one or the only one. Yep. And so it just makes sense. But putting her at number 1, no, I think Christian Cage had a way better year than her in terms of the father gimmick.
The overall year, yep.
the clips going viral. You know, your father's dead is my favorite meme of the year.
Yep.
And he used it. He's still using it to this day. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, both great, but Christian Cage with the better overall year. Last but not least, bro.
The worst gimmick. So this is why I kind of wanted to combine the two, because the worst gimmick is the devil. Makes sense, because the devil sucks. And it's not even a thing anymore. QTV, I've never watched an episode of QTV.
They never had any episodes. QTV was very simply a group based around QT Marshall, and they did nothing.
Cool. And then number 3, Toni Storm. So she has the best gimmick, and she also has the worst gimmick. So there's that.
What the hell? As simple as this. Toni Storm does have a couple of weird moments in her character, but like, you kind of got to separate that, to be honest. Like, there's a lot other great aspects about the character versus, you know, I guess people are kind of weirded out by the butt stuff. Come on, man, grow up. Like, yeah, whatever. To be honest, Toni Storm did have a top 2 gimmick of the year, not one of the worst.
For the single men, she is your favorite wrestler of the year. For the married men that are loyal, she's not. So
I'm actually so glad you said that, because I have this perspective. I started Toni Storm's feud as a taken man, and now I'm single. Yeah,
so you're enjoying her feud now.
No, I've always enjoyed her work, but now I can actually look at her spots.
Yeah, that's all we'll say about that.
Yep.
And that has been the Big Talk.
Yes.
We finished the list. Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards, that is wrapped. So this will be a YouTube video.
Hi,
Thank
YouTube.
you guys so much.
Bye, YouTube.
Thank you. Bye, YouTube. Thank you guys so much for coming into the Big Talk. And closing. As for the wrestling show, thank you guys so much for watching. I know this has been a crazy long episode. We only intended it to be, you know, an hour to an hour and a half. But yeah, mic issues, it's gonna happen.
No, mic issues aren't gonna happen.
They're not gonna happen
They're
anymore.
Gus issues.
Gus is going to improve his NA production. So thank you guys so much for watching. Sub to the channel.
Bye,
Shorts
everyone.
are coming out. Videos are coming out. We'll see you next time.
See ya.